Hi, I'm Mark,
And I'm Jamie.
and welcome to Red Duchess Farm. This is a video on our Homestead World collaboration. The collaboration was put together by Wanda and Danny at Deep South Homestead in Mississippi in the United States, and by Liz Zorab at Byther Farm in South Wales in the United Kingdom. There are 15 questions, and we're just supposed to go down through them and ask the questions and answer the questions. So got our cheat sheet here, cup of tea because this may take a while.
A lot of info for us. So,
So the first question is, where in the world are you? We are at the southern tip of the state of Illinois in the United States and in the Midwest of the U.S. We are about 25 to 30 miles north of Paducah, Kentucky, or 25 to 30 miles south of Harrisburg, Illinois. We're in the middle of nowhere.
you have to want to find us.
Yeah.
And you cannot GPS us. It doesn't work.
Yeah. You put in our physical address and it takes you to the post office about 10 miles away. So our homestead is 65 acres. And we are surrounded by the U.S. Forest Service. We're about 3/4 of a mile back a one-lane county road off of the main blacktop, and that gets you back to our driveway, and we're the only house back here. Our mailbox is about a mile from the house.
There's about 10,000 acres that surround us of that part of the Forest Service.
And obviously, question number 4, we're to already, rural or urban, and we are definitely a rural homestead.
They wouldn't want us in the urban.
And our climate. The next question, number 5, what is our climate like?
It's crazy. We used to get a lot of snow. We really don't anymore. But down here where we're at, it's ice. We get a lot of ice. But you can go from 70 degrees on a weird day to ice storm the next day. And then a couple days later, it's all gone again, or you might be stuck for 2 weeks, or, and it's just really random. This year we're getting a lot of rain. Then in the summer, the temperatures run somewhere average 80s to high 90s. We do go over the 100-degree mark quite often with a 100% humidity most of the time. It's very humid here. And in the winter, I'd say we average out through the winter probably in the 25-30 area, but we drop, for short periods of time, we drop well below zero with some really severe wind chill factors. So we're all over the board. I think Illinois just wakes up every day and says, oh, let's just do this to everybody.
Yeah, this winter was particularly strange because you would have 60 degrees for a couple days and then just in a matter of hours be down to 20 degrees or so, which is really hard on livestock, on the animals, the swings. It's much better to have a consistent cold winter. It's much better on the animals than to the ups and the downs and the kind of weather we've had this winter.
It's actually made me use a lot of straw bedding this year because the animals couldn't regulate. They'd be cold and then they'd be hot and then they'd be cold and they just couldn't get it together.
Yeah. The next question is, what is our growing season? Generally, you can put stuff in the garden pretty safely by the middle of April. Some stuff can go in earlier that's a little more cold tolerant. I mean, peas, broccoli, cauliflower, cabbage, all that stuff you can still plant in March. Radishes, lettuce, all those cold things. Probably don't want to plant any green beans or anything like that until about mid-April or so. And watch the 14-day forecast to make sure there's no surprise cold snaps there in late April. And we can grow probably clear up into late October. It's usually late October, sometimes early November before we get our first killing freeze. So fairly long growing season. If you're familiar with the USDA hardiness zone map, We're in the very southern part of Zone 6B. I believe Paducah, Kentucky, 30 miles south is in Zone 7A. And there are parts of this county that are in Zone 7A. And I think that's partially due to elevation, because we're up on top of things. It's 2 miles down to the highway and about 250 feet lower in elevation down at the highway. The next question, that would be Jamie's. Do you have animals?
Yeah. Yes. I raise alpacas for their fiber. And so I definitely have quite a few alpacas. We have miniature donkeys, potbelly pigs, horses, of course. I grew up with horses, so you have to have horses.
Yeah, there's about 8 head of horses.
Yeah, but 8 head of horses, 16 alpacas, 2 donkeys, 3 potbelly pigs, 5 dogs, 20 cats, 15 chickens, 1 rabbit, 4 guinea fowl,
Yep.
and 2 dairy cows.
Yep. A dairy cow.
A dairy and her bull calf.
And her bull calf that's going to be hamburger.
Yeah.
So
The answer is yes, we definitely have animals.
yeah. What fruits, vegetables, and grains do we grow? Question number 8. Our last video was a collaboration also on gardening, and we talked about that in that video. It's probably easier to list what we don't grow than what we do grow. We do what we consider all the common garden things. We grow sweet corn, field corn, all kinds of beans, kidney beans, great northern beans, pinto beans, green beans, pole beans for green beans. We do about 100 tomato plants. We do yellow squash, zucchini squash, a couple different kinds of those. We do onions, onion sets and onion plants that we grow from seed. Cucumbers, watermelon, cantaloupe,
Tomato.
all kinds of different winter type squash, and we do beets, we do carrots, we raise a few peanuts, sweet potatoes, Irish potatoes. I mean, it's a long list.
That's what's in the garden.
Yeah, and that's not all. I mean, broccoli, cauliflower, cabbage, radishes, lettuce. It's
But
just
then outside the garden, strawberries, have fruit trees, we have blackberries, blueberries, gooseberries. Yeah.
and
it just-
a big herb bed, and have culinary and medicinal herbs, and there's a pretty good list of those that we do, and
So lots.
we grow lots. Next question is, how do we grow our crops? What methods do we use? The majority of our garden is conventional row crop. We have a 3-row planter and a tiller for the back of the tractor, 2-bottom plow, cultivators for the tractor. So, when we're doing all the different types of beans and corns and that sort of thing, that's all done conventional row crop to where we can cultivate it with the tractor. We do have some areas that have compost down on them and are mulched well, and we don't till those, and so we do some of those sort of things. We grow some in the greenhouse. We do some tomatoes and lettuces and different things like that in the greenhouse. We do some raised beds, and going to do more raised beds, simply because, like we were talking earlier, with the all the rain and that we've had this spring, it's not that the weather's not warm enough in the early spring to get out and plant, but most of the time it's just too muddy to work the soil and do anything real early. So doing some raised beds, we should be able to get some things planted earlier than we normally plant.
Well, plus we have clay and rock. So when you have all this rain, you put your plants down there in your conventional garden and it decides to dry up and then start raining again, you've just made a clay bowl and everything will just rot off. So if we can go with a few more raised beds on some of that harder stuff to keep, from rotting, it'd be a lot better.
Do you sell any produce, animals, or things to create income for the farm?
Yes. I personally, like I said, I use the alpacas for their fiber, do all the shearing, process everything here on the farm. And I spin, weave, felt. Felting's my forte. But I make clothing. I do felted hats, purses, woven things. I make saddle blankets for horses. That's a big thing that I do. So all of my alpaca fiber is made into something to be sold. I do that online and also I take a few things to the farmers market, but most of the time I'll do wine and art festivals, art shows, that type of thing. So as far as the, using the fiber, I do sell a lot of stuff off the farm. And then we also do, we'll sell a little bit of produce. Most of our produce gets used for ourselves, but we have the greenhouses. And we wholesale a large quantity out of the greenhouses of bedding plants, flowers, hanging baskets, all that stuff. And what we do use about 1,000 hanging baskets this year, and
It looks like it's going to get close to that.
and yeah, my dirty fingernails. It's you can tell what I do all day, and so those will all be sold off the farm. That is a big source of income for us, and we do take a few things down to the farmers market to sell on a retail basis. I'd say 3/4 of what we do though is a wholesale.
90%.
90%, yeah. So yeah, there's quite a bit of stuff that's sold off the farm for income.
And we sell some eggs
Yeah.
and then some things like that too. So the next question, do you grow solely for your own needs?
Well,
The majority of what we grow is for our own needs, but we do sell a little bit of stuff. The next question is, do you have any health issues that impede homesteading? And the answer to that is no. Neither one of us really have any health issues. Jamie has to take Synthroid because she has no thyroid whatsoever. But other than that, we take no pharmaceuticals, no drugs of any kind.
Mm-mm.
So we're very fortunate in that way. How long have we been homesteading? We've been on this farm for a little over 5 years. We bought another place about 3 miles from here in 2009, so we had it about 4 years, and we were not down here full time at that time. We lived about 150 miles north of here, and that was a weekend place, although I was down here a lot more than weekends. And then when we bought this farm, we moved down here full time. And before that, when we lived up north, we were basically doing the same thing we're doing now, maybe on a little bit smaller scale. But so we've been homesteading longer than the term has been attached to people that do what we do.
yeah, we both grew up with the whole gardening. I grew up on a big horse cattle farm, and so we raised our own beef, raised our own pork, did all the mom, grandma, and I did all the canning. We didn't buy stuff like that at the grocery store, so that was before it was homesteading. It was just a way of life.
Yeah.
So that's the only life I know.
Yeah, I mean, we're children of the 60s and the 70s, and so my grandparents were married in the 1930s and during the Depression, and that was just the way we lived. I mean, we raised big gardens, and everybody canned, and you knew how to take care of yourself. So pretty much all of our lives we've been what they now call homesteading. Do you like homesteading?
We better.
If we didn't like it, we wouldn't be doing it. I mean, if we didn't like it, we would be with the other 80% of the Americans, and we'd be living in a city in an
No.
apartment somewhere in a major metropolitan area, and
I can't stand getting around 10 people, let alone live in town. I don't play well with others. we do like it. Yeah.
yeah, we really enjoy this way of life. What homestead activity do you like the most? Is the last question on the list.
Mine has to be animal husbandry. I've been, like I said, I've been on a farm all my life. I grew up in the back of a vet clinic. And it's just, that's what I like to do. I like to take care of the animals. The odd things, I mean, I've been doctoring one of the potbelly pigs, and most people think I'm crazy, giving her medicine 4 times a day on an hourly schedule. And I've got a kind of ailing chicken that I'm taking care of, and the other night we had an issue with the dairy cow, so we're standing out there in the drive tubing her and trying to get her unbloated and so on and so forth, and that's just what I like to do. I like to take care of the animals, and I like to work with the animals. So
Yeah, and the dairy cow's fine.
oh yes,
Yeah,
yes, Miss Rosie the Queen, she is she's back to being the queen.
Yeah. And I think what I like the most on the homestead is the gardening. Spend countless hours in the summer in the garden and really enjoy it. And along with that is the canning and the preserving. I mean, I really like canning and dehydrating and preserving things that way.
He really
And-
does.
And it's
He really does.
and it's nice to see the shelves fill up. I mean, and we're talking, 1,000 jars or more of stuff on the shelves. That's the end of the list, and it's just going to be interesting to see what answers we get from homesteads all over the world.
So if there's anything else that you'd like to know about us or some information, just give us a shout and let us know.
Yeah, leave your comments and your questions below this video, and if you like what you see, why click that subscribe button, click the like button, hit that little blue bell to get notifications when we put up new content. And thanks for watching from Red Duchess Farm.